What's up, guys? I want to go over with you today 3 ways that you can go about improving your marriage almost immediately. One of the first I want to bring up is that you need to drop your intermediate or small personal goals. I can already hear people screaming, "Ah, what are you talking about?" Notice I didn't say drop your life goals, because that actually would be too hard of a task for most people. And you might have it right that God has called you to a certain task. So for me to say to drop your largest goal for the sake of your marriage probably wouldn't make any sense. But you need to drop your intermediate and short-term goals or your small personal goals at least until you get your marriage in order. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons that this works and works very well. First of all, it is very possible that the goals that you are pursuing are interfering with your marriage, might actually be running contrary to your spouse's wishes. And if you're just diving headlong into that, then things are just going to continue to get worse until you're not married. So there comes a point in time when you actually have to ask yourself deep within, is my goal more important, or is the relationship more important? And if you honor God by putting the relationship higher than some silly little pride-oriented goal that you have laid out, then your marriage will begin to be blessed. So one of the first things about love is that it always involves the component of sacrifice. And when you let go of some of your goals, do you know what you just did? You sacrificed for your marriage, and good and godly sacrifice yields wonderful results and rewards. It is actually a display of love. The other thing this does is it absolutely frees up time to be married, or to get my marriage strengthened, or to get it on track, or to see if I was actually pursuing the goal because my marriage wasn't where I thought it was. I tell you this, if you have a fantastic marriage, you probably have a lot less goals, because your life will be very fulfilled in that relationship, and you won't be chasing little tiny goals here and there. You will actually stay focused on a few larger goals for your life. So giving up these intermediate and little small goals gives you time to actually focus on your marriage, and it actually gives you time to maybe plan some intermediate or small goals together with your spouse. And whatever you do with your spouse with the right heart is actually going to bond you with your spouse. So if you give up an independent personal goal for the sake of having a unified goal with your spouse, it's going to do your marriage a lot of good. Another piece that you really need is you need to stop dropping your guard when you get home. What do you mean? So many people put on the dog, they put on the persona, they go out and they're conquering life and they're excellent at this and they're that. And then they go home, they're like, and they're just slovenly in their sinful habits and in their mannerisms and in their living. They put so much effort into presentation and into success and into accomplishment. But when they come home, they're like, I get to let down my guard and just be me. You just gotta deal with me because this is me. Stop dropping your guard. When in the world does discipline become a sideline? Actually, if you read the book of Proverbs, you find out that discipline is supposed to be all the time. So many people make the mistake that thinking that I can go live and put a lot of effort in here, but then I don't have to bring it home with me. I don't have to put on my best self at home. And it's like too difficult. I need some relaxation time. I need some time just to just be me, and if you don't like it, deal with it. Around the clock discipline and self-control is very possible for those that are relying on the strength and power of the Holy Spirit. So quit dropping your guard and quit thinking that you have to drop your guard. That is a misunderstanding on your behalf. It is not reality. And the last tidbit I'll give you is that you need to stop escalating arguments. You know how an escalator takes things up, and it keeps taking things up perpetually. Well, you do not need to escalate things. So if your spouse comes in and says something annoying, you don't need to say something annoying back because that's how you feel, because you let your guard down. You actually try to give back more. So they annoy you, you try to annoy them a little more. Naturally, they're going to try to annoy you back. And then you're going to blame them for being annoying, so you're going to add more to it. Every single fight and argument that you get in, you are responsible for an infinite amount of the escalation. Not only are you giving interest on everything they put into the argument, you are causing them to respond with their own personal interest, and pretty soon you're on a out of control climb to just all out mayhem. Quit escalating arguments. Why don't you just take one for the team? Why don't you just that was kind of rough. For the sake of peace and unity, I'm just gonna let that slide. That was hard, but maybe I can cut them a little slack. And you would be surprised how many arguments actually evaporate into thin air, and how many times you just found your spouse in a weak moment, or that they were struggling with something else, not necessarily you, but you happened to be there in a moment of overflow. And that's as far as it goes, as long as you're willing to suffer a bit. So if you want to improve your marriage, put these 3 tips into practice and watch them begin to transform your life immediately.